Hello students, we are going to study today chapter 2, which is banking. In this particular video for banking, I have bifurcated into 4 different videos actually, and just to give you the basic knowledge about the banking system, how it works in India, what are the different type of banks, so you will get a feel or the idea about the banking. In detail, we will study one particular topic which is there in your syllabus about recurring deposit schemes. So that we will study in later part. So first we should understand what the banking is. So in this particular video, we are going to study different things about the introduction of the bank, what are the various types of banks which are in India working, how to open a bank account. Suppose you want to open a bank account, what formalities you are required and mandatory documents which are required by the bank. And then later on, what are the different terms? Maybe you have must have heard in your home about the different terms which are used frequently these days. So we'll understand what are the meaning of those terms. So let us start with about the introduction of the bank, what the bank is. So now bank is an institution which carries on the business of depositing and lending money. That is their basic work. Means they collect the money, they deposit from individuals or companies, and also they lend money. Lending means they give money on the credit to other people. Now the bank perform various functions such as they receive money for deposit and paying interest on them. So if some person or a company deposits some money in the bank, so they pay interest. You must have heard in the advertisement, Kotak Mahindra Bank offers 6% interest, some other bank offer different type of interest. So they pay interest if you deposit money in the bank. And they also lending money to the borrower. So somebody in the need, suppose an individual want to buy a home, so bank give them the money as a home loan and they charge interest on them. So both ways it works. They take from one hand, from receive money from deposits and lend money to the other borrowers. So in both the cases, they are paying interest to the depositors and collecting or charging interest from the people to whom they are lending the money. Apart from that, they are also performing various transfer through NEFT, IMPS. We'll understand what these terms mean. It is basically used to transfer money from one bank account to another bank account or to pay to some other person. So that is for generally for the individuals or for the companies also. Mainly for the other businesses, they also help the businesses by providing them overdrafting facility. LC stands for letter of credit. So you'll come to know these things later on when you study further. So these are the few things which bank also helps to run the businesses. They also give advance of various loans to businesses or individuals, in fact, like personal loan, home loan, business loan. So you must have heard these terms. So that is the different type of loans they offer to the individuals or business. Bank also offers some utility services, like suppose if you want to deposit electricity bill, or telephone bill, or water bill, or tuition fee of your school, etc. All these are, some or all may be provided the facilities by the different banks. It is not mandatory, but some banks provide that. Then they are also indulged in buying and selling bonds. Now, bond is a kind of investment which a person want to invest to secured investment. So the bank is there to help that. Means the people can invest in bonds. Then for international people, they also provide or give the service to issue some travelers cards to the international traveler. Suppose if anybody want to go to UK, US or anywhere, So they issue traveler cards, so they need not to carry the cash, so they can use those cards internationally. Then they remit money internationally. Suppose some people or some person is working outside India, maybe in Dubai or America or anywhere in the world, and if we want to send some money to his parents or spouse in India, then he can do through bank. So bank also remit money internationally, and they also exchange currency. If some person has cash currency, so you want to convert from dollar to rupee or rupee to dollar, then bank also helps in that. So all these works are done by bank. Some maybe some other works are also, but these are the main functions which bank performs. See different type of banks in India which are working. So you must have heard some name of State Bank of India, then Axis Bank, or some other banks are also there. So we call them as nationalized bank. But before that, there is a one body which is called RBI, which is Reserve Bank of India. That is the regulatory body to regulate all banking operations. So it is the main body which regulates all the banks. Means bank cannot formulate their own rules. All the rules regulation are framed by RBI. Then bank have to follow that. So various type of banks I have already discussed. First one is nationalized bank, which is, for example, State Bank of India, Axis Bank, ICSE Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank. So some are the private banks, some are government banks. So, but if the bank is working in the entire India, we categorize that as nationalized bank. Some banks they work in particular state, so we call them cooperative banks. Suppose Saraswat Cooperative Bank, Abhyudha Cooperative Bank. So they are the cooperative bank. They are not as big as the nationalized bank, but with some specification given by the RBI to localize the bank. So they are cooperative banks. Some many more cooperative banks are also working. Yeah, this is just an example. Then there are few banks in some sectors provided by government that they work to develop land. As we know, India is a big country and mainly farmers are working. So they need a loan, they need some help against their land. So land development banks are also in various states. So all these type of banks, each one has a unique role to play. They have been given some task or the categories of the people for whom they can work. Generally, nationalized bank like SBI has various type of banking like retail banking. These are the different branches. Branches means they're working like in a particular bank. One bank have different sections. So one section of people they deal with retail banking. Retail banking means person deposit or withdraw or just providing some kind of help for the retail customers. So this we call it as retail banking. Then they have home loan section. So it's a separate section. So somebody wants to buy a home and he wants help from the bank to provide the loan. So bank will provide home loan. Then vehicle loan to buy a car or something else. Then business loans also. So there is another section for businesses. So one single bank may have various type of sections under it which are dealing with different requirements. Okay, so this was brief about how the different type of banks are there, and each one bank has different type of sections work for different requirement. Now, if you go to a bank and you want to open a bank account, so what do you need generally? So to open a bank account in India, you need to fill up a prescribed application form, which is different for different banks, means they have their own application form. So when we visit the branch, then they give the application form, and the application form specimen signatures have to be done because that is the um, signature is authorized document which allow any bearer to withdraw from your account. If you issue a check, then it's your signature which are being matched. So that specimen signature, initially when we fill up the form, we have to sign it. Along with that, we have to give some documents as the identity. In short, we call it as KYC, know your customer. So know your customer means the customer, if suppose we are going to the bank, then we have to give our photo, our identity card or address proof. So that must be given for each individual who goes and open a bank account. That is mandatory by Government of India. And the last thing in this particular video is two different terms. Like suppose we go to the bank and so which basic terms we should know. First thing is pay-in slip. When we go and open a bank account, then bank wants some amount to be deposited in the bank account. So we need to fill up a slip in which we have to fill in the details about name and how much amount or cash we are going to deposit. So that particular slip is called pay-in slip. It is used to deposit cash. Then bank issue a kit in which they'll issue a ATM card and a checkbook. So check is a printed performer with an unconditional order and is always payable on demand. So suppose if you want to pay some amount from your bank account to some other third person, then you issue a check. Write his name, amount and sign and give it to him. Then he produce that in his account, or he goes to your branch and encash that. So that is a check which is easy, for a third person to collect cash from your bank account. Then bank give you a passbook. Passbook is a book which contains record of all the transactions that took place. It can be withdrawal or deposit. Then there are few terms called NEFT, RTGS and IMPS. These three are just lately introduced. All these three are related to the money transfer through electronic way. So NEFT stands for National Electronic Fund Transfer. It is a system maintained by RBI. It enables electronic transfer of funds from one bank to another bank. Means NEFT is basically for a shorter amount, means maybe less than a lakh or 2 lakh amount. If we have a bigger amount, then RTGS, real-time gross settlement, which is similar to NEFT but for the bigger amounts. And IMPS is immediate payment service, means if you want to transfer the amount from one bank to another bank immediately within seconds, if we do this online through IMPS, it reflects or it goes to another bank within few seconds or a minute. So that is the third service. It is also transfer of money. So thank you very much. This is the short video which I have made just for the introduction of the bank, terms of the bank, just giving the basic knowledge of the bank. In the further video, we'll see how a bank operates. Thank you very much.